Hi, I'm Eric Dewey.
And this is Steve O'Mooney.
And I'm Matthew Renfro.
And we're Socially Awkward. You're listening to another great production on the Four-Eyed Radio Network. Check out more shows at foureyedradio.com.
It's your good pal, Steve-O from the Four-Eyed Radio Network. I'm here to talk to you about a wonderful designer we all know, Revenge Lover. Illustrates and designs that fit your personality. For samples and inquiries, please visit revengelover.com. And just do yourself a favor and tell them Steve-O sent you. I know it really doesn't count for anything, but, I mean, come on. Who are you gonna trust? You gonna trust somebody else? No, you're gonna trust me, Steve-O. Because, face it, I'm awesome.
Hey, Merry Scrooge Day, everyone! This is Jeff! Yay!
It's Christmas time! It's Christmas time! Oh, shut up already.
Welcome to the 12A Podcast, where you're going to learn about movies, entertainment, and a lot of other cool stuff. And now, here are two guys who still put milk and cookies out for Santa. Jeff and Steve.
Nothing wrong with that! That's good! All right, yeah!
Especially when I'm Santa and I get it.
Yeah, that's right. It makes sense for you to do that because you have kids.
Yes,
right.
I just like to live the imagination of a child. I don't want to let go of that.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys ever thought, and I'm going to derail this really quick, have you guys ever thought...
Already, we're 10 seconds in. Derailed.
Have you ever thought how dishonest we are to kids about stuff like that?
Oh, man.
I mean... We tell them about Santa, and we do milk and cookies, and then somebody gets up in the middle of the night and eats the milk and cookies, and then we, and tell them that Santa was there, and we tell them about the Easter Bunny, we tell them about the Tooth Fairy, and they're so innocent, and they just trust they trust you because you're their. I mean, I don't have kids, but you're their parents, so they trust you, and then they get to a point where they realize Santa is not real.
Right.
My parents have been lying to me this whole time. How can I trust them ever again?
You're bringing up a lot of great stories for Santa. But the first one, have any of you heard of the Elf on the Shelf?
Yeah.
Seen this stuff?
Yeah.
So we started doing that with Lucas this year. And that's just the biggest hunk of lie ever. But every morning he wakes up to look for the elf.
Right.
And he named his elf Pickle, which I love.
Yeah.
So, but that's the whole thing
makes
is
sense.
like, when you first meet the elf, you got to name him. And there's a whole story that Tiffany read to him about it. He can't touch him. And every night he goes back to tell Santa about, if you've been a good or a bad boy and what you've done and everything. But every morning he shows back up somewhere different. So I'm up every single night. I'm up kind of anyways because the youngest is up and around. But at 2 a.m., I'm up trying to figure out, all right, where's Pickle going to be this time? So one morning he's up and he's drinking out of one of Lucas's apple juices out of the fridge. Another morning he's digging through candy. Another morning I just dumped all of our flour onto a stove and had him on candy cane so it was like a slide going down the snow.
Oh, my goodness.
And he loves it. Every morning Lucas is like, where's Pickle at? First thing when he wakes up.
And I guarantee you enjoy that as much as he probably
I
looks.
do.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like coming up with what can Pickle be doing next? But you're right.
But just think, in 5 years or whatever, the harsh reality is going to hit, and he's going to be like, "Oh my gosh!" Yeah.
Right, which is funny from my perspective because I don't have kids yet, but I have a lot of friends like Steve who do, right? And it's funny talking to them about how they handle the whole Santa situation, and it's interesting because the rest of the 11 months of the year, it's about how do we teach this child good values to grow up,
and to be honest,
and then when it comes to Santa, it's like you're saying, lie to the child, lie to the child, lie to the child. Then, oh crap, the child is figuring out the truth.
Yeah.
New lie, convince them to buy it, and they're just hoping to convince them to believe the lie for a little bit longer because they don't want to grasp the reality of the
So, yes, Merry Christmas, everyone who's listening.
Merry Christmas.
Hope you have fun lying to your kids.
That's right. You evil parents.
Right. And how funny would it be to get to heaven? And God's like, you were a very good person, but you were lying to a child,
Exactly.
and I have a hard time allowing someone like that in here.
Every December.
And the Tooth Fairy. And
then when they figured out the truth and you convinced them of the lie again, that's just evil, is it not?
It's so bad because we have two trees. We have a small fake tree that Lucas and Dylan get to decorate with their own stuff.
Okay.
And then we have our real tree that Tiffany and I decorate, and our real tree has presents under it. But every Christmas morning, their tree is going to have presents from Santa under it.
Exactly.
It's such a man. I feel like a bad person.
No, I think it's great because every year I'm gonna get into Christmas and do all the fun stuff I did in a kid, and then like every year I end up like working 24/7 like up until Christmas, and so I'm like I need to have kids so that like, I have an excuse
to take
like I
off.
can see it afresh again.
Right.
I think that's it.
Now, bringing all that up, though, so I had a friend, her name was Chastity, that we lived near each other in California. It was probably 10 or 11 years old. And she believed in Santa. And I told her that's the biggest bunk. Not at all. But I firmly believed in the Tooth Fairy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no. I believed in the Tooth Fairy longer than I believed in the Easter Bunny or Santa.
Okay.
I was certain of that Tooth Fairy. I mean, I'm losing teeth left and right, and I'm getting money. And I was so certain that I had seen some flashy, pretty, glittery thing, and I was the Tooth Fairy one night. And so I firmly believed it. And she and I got into the biggest fight. I so remember it. And I should try and contact her to see if she remembers it. But I remember arguing with her about how none of this stuff can be true with Santa Claus, but I would argue my point about how this can be true with the Tooth Fairy,
And how do you remember figuring out that there was no Tooth Fairy?
I don't honestly remember when it was that I figured out there wasn't a Tooth Fairy. But I mean, it may very well have been into my teen years, and all of a sudden, I was done losing teeth, so the Tooth Fairy was gone. And maybe that's just it in my head. I was like, well, I don't have a Tooth Fairy anymore.
Right.
Maybe I still believe in the Tooth Fairy.
Right, that's where it's starting
It's just going somewhere else.
So
now.
this is,
Taking care of some other
I
kid.
really remember arguing at that point.
I'm starting to do the math, and Steve still believes in the Tooth
I
Fairy.
still believe in the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah. Sorry if you guys are listening and still believe in one of these things.
Yeah. Oops. Or
told you
you're
I was
listening
gonna-
with your children.
Yeah, I told you I was
This
gonna
is just
be-
a parent's perspective.
I told you I was going to derail it right away, and I did.
Right. Well, this isn't a podcast about Santa and Tooth Fairy. This is about movies and streaming media.
Absolutely.
But it is our Christmas episode, so we've got lots of fun Christmas stuff. Steve, you got some Christmas stuff?
I have
movies?
some good Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix Christmas stuff, and I think we did really good on the last two episodes, on the Halloween and Thanksgiving episode, but I fear Jeff and I are going to have some of the same exact things on our Christmas one.
Yeah, probably.
Probably. I feel it in my heart
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I hate this holiday season, but Jeff and I have the same
I
movie
did
likes,
two. I did two lists that we can get into. Number one, I did my top. I ended up doing, I think, my top 15 for Netflix, just because it was too much fun. and
Wait,
then,
now is this the top 15? You're going to call it the top 15, except there's like 25 that you have just threw in there, like the last list you did.
It's officially a top 15, but if something comes to mind while I'm talking, hey, I can't stop that.
Okay.
But the other thing I got, I've got my top 15 for Netflix, and then I've also got my top 10 Christmas movies that you're not watching. So they're not necessarily streaming, but they're good Christmas movies, and you may not be watching them, so that should be a fun list.
All right.
Cool. Sounds good.
So, Steve, what have you got?
We'll start off with Netflix.
All right.
And the two movies that I believe are on both of our lists are White Christmas and Love Actually.
Yep.
Okay. Love Actually is my Christmas wrapping one, and White Christmas is just a good one to have on in the background. I just really, really love that whole movie. And I'm not a fan of older Christmas movies, but White Christmas I love.
Why?
I think it's just the fun camaraderie between the two guys.
Oh, yeah.
And just, putting on this whole show and then the girls and everything. And I think that's what it is. I love the brotherly camaraderie that they have together. So,
yeah, that's a great point. And I've never thought about that because, you watch a contemporary movie like Two Guns, had this really cool story about these two guys who've had a relationship for a long time, and you're just kind of jumping into the middle of that relationship.
Like they already have their inside jokes and
stuff.
Yeah,
and there's like other movies, like Appaloosa is a really fantastic Western that does the same thing. Or I know you and I both love Sahara. That is an adventure movie that has that same sort of feel, these two. And that's right. I never thought that my love for that type of movie goes back to White Christmas. That's true.
Yeah, because any of the other ones, like Miracle on 34th Street, any of these other ones, there's just like one guy. There's the guy or the one kid or there's somebody's learning something. But in this one, I feel like, it's that good...
Yeah, which begs the question: why didn't you and I marry sisters?
I don't know. I don't know. Did we know anybody growing up that were sisters though? Like I feel like there's a lot of. There was. I think the age range was.
I guess my first thought when I started thinking about that, I was like, well, then either I would have had to marry Chelsea or you would have had to marry Melanie.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I guess
Both
people
of our
we're married
wives
to
do have sisters. Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right. There we go.
I'm sure we knew some.
Somewhere. Anyways, derailed again.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry about that, everybody. But Netflix for the holidays, they are. I didn't have a lot, but Ernest Saves Christmas.
Oh yeah, I think our lists are going to be nearly identical because you just listed 1, 2, and 3 on my list.
Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas Special.
Oh
It's
yeah,
on there.
all right, yeah.
This one I don't think is on yours, but this is for the kids. Curious George, A Very Monkey Christmas.
Oh, is that good?
It is, and
Okay.
Lucas totally got into that last year,
Yeah.
and it's still on this year. And I tell you, if you ever watch it, there is a damn Christmas monkey music song that's on there that Lucas starts singing it and gets stuck in your head, and I can't think of the lyrics right now, thank God. But
Yeah.
there's a song in there. But yeah, it is good, and it is good.
Because I loved Curious George as a kid, but I've never watched like the new stuff.
In fact, the actual latest Curious George movie with all of what's his name's music in it that just came out
Jack
a couple years.
Johnson,
Yeah, Jack
right?
Johnson's.
Yeah.
That was one of the Harkins summer movie things, and I took Lucas to go see that on a Friday morning. It was
cool.
really good.
Nice.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And then I watched A Very Murray Christmas.
How was that? Review? No, was it boring?
Oh, I was bored. I was so mad at it. I was so damn mad at it
Yeah.
because it's Bill Murray. This
Yeah.
should be hilarious. No,
Huh.
there's like a handful of good one-liners, and there's a lot of funny people in it. There's Paul Schaefer plays his piano all the way through it with him,
cool.
and Bill Murray sings a lot. Michael Cera's in it. George Clooney plays himself. Miley Cyrus plays herself. Amy Poehler is one of his producers. Chris Rock shows up. Maya Randolph, Jason Schwartzman, all like great names.
And are they funny?
No.
Oh wow.
No,
Huh.
like they're all in there to sing. And so it really was like just like, hey, we're going to get together and sing with each other Christmas carols. So the whole premise is Bill Murray is at I can't remember the name of the hotel, but he's at this big famous hotel in New York, and it's in the middle of a blizzard. And he's supposed to be producing a live Christmas Eve show,
Right.
and nobody can show up or be there
Right.
because of the blizzard. So they try fake put it on the show. He sucks Chris Rock into doing it with him because
Right.
Chris Rock is like wandering around trying to find a present for his kid or something. So, but then it all falls to pieces, and then it's just about him in this hotel and the people he runs into that are also stuck in the hotel. You know, Jason Schwartzman is playing this groom who was supposed to get married, and that all went to ruins because of this blizzard and stuff. And then at one point he passes out. Bill Murray passes out drunk, and his dream is about George Clooney and Miley Cyrus riding in on a sleigh, and then they're all singing Christmas carols together.
Okay.
And it's just, but it was not, I was not laughing out loud, and that was what was most disappointing. And I think that's what it was. I had these expectations of laughing out loud, and I just wasn't. Now, it was good if you just want to go in and see a lot of famous people singing Christmas carols, and there's some fun, like I said, one-liners. Like there's some great ones between Bill Murray and Chris Rock, and Bill Murray has a handful of funny ones. He and Paul Schaefer had a couple of good ones together, but
Yeah, I think part of the problem is, we don't have variety shows now like they did back then, and I think there's a very specific niche for it. And again, not having seen it, I just know that we don't. So when we see something, we're expecting stand-up specials or these very particular niches that we're not really used to.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I watched the Lady Gaga Muppet thing that we talked about. I think it was a year or 2 years ago that they had. And I remember being very bored in that with all the songs and stuff. The only one I really remember getting into was Joseph Gordon-Levitt and her did "Baby It's Cold Outside," and it was just really cool. But you've got to be really into that niche, and it's got to be really well done because at this point to capture our imagination bouncing between different sort of genres and stuff like that, it's got to be nails. And people just. We've lost all the masters of that craft, so I think it's lost.
No, and I think that was my biggest problem. Like, there's a scene when Bill Murray is coming down the stairs because he can't use the elevator, and he runs into Michael Cera. And Michael Cera is not playing himself; he's playing an agent, and he's trying to sign Bill Murray. And Bill Murray has never had an agent; he's famous for not having an agent. So there's a great little banter between there. But I was expecting a lot more of the music and then good sketch comedy or something, and there was just not enough of that sketch comedy to break it up. I mean, anything that they tried to be funny at was so short it just didn't have good build up. And a lot of it was Bill Murray setting up people to sing the next song. Like he convinces the kitchen people to sing a song for him, and he ends up singing a great duet with one of the waitresses and stuff like that. So
well, it was directed by Sofia Coppola. Who did Lost in Translation, which was a terrific movie with Bill Murray. But she's not really known for like sharp, fast-paced comedy or
which is
musicals.
Exactly what Lost in Translation was.
Right.
Well, it was a great movie. That was a slow-paced movie.
Right. So it's Lost in Translation, if you think about it, is like an anti-variety show. Mm-hmm. So it just seems like it was in the wrong hands.
Yeah. No, I think so. And so an interesting thing I found out: Bill Murray does not have Netflix and refuses to get it. So he's not going to be able to even watch his own special on Netflix. I don't know why, but that was a trivia thing that I ran across.
That's interesting.
So that was interesting. So that's what I had for my Netflix stuff.
Okay.
Just short, right to it, but you will, cannot go wrong with White Christmas or Love Actually for sure.
Yeah. So you got mine.
Okay.
You got my 1, 2, and 3. So I will preface this for those of you who haven't picked up on my personality yet. I love romantic comedies.
Yeah.
Like I just do. So there's a lot of that crap in here. So 14, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh. Pretty interesting, solid, different movie. 13, I Am Santa Claus. I don't know if you've seen this. Mick Foley from like WWE wrestling.
What?
He decides that he's gonna see what it's like to turn into Santa Claus, and he interviews all these different Santas, and I remember and what their life is away from being Santa Claus, like the rest of the 11 months, and one of them's this gay Santa Claus.
Okay,
he's not portraying and it's so gay Santa Claus. Okay, so it's just a bunch of interesting characters that are living their lives away from Santa Claus, and what it's like to become Santa Claus too.
Okay,
so it's pretty cool.
Huh.
And a lot of rich characters. So Mickey's Magical Snowden whatever Christmas, and Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. What's cool is it's a bunch of old Disney cartoons that are kind of tied together with some sort of theme or something. Mm-hmm. So a bunch of Christmas old Disney cartoons. It's a fun way to watch those. Trading Places, of course. It's not really a Christmas movie, but it's kind of got a cool Christmas scene in it, so it's one of the ones that kind of get away with it. This one is kind of interesting. It's called 12 Dates of Christmas. It's like an ABC Family Channel made-for-TV movie that has Amy Smart and I forget his name, Zach from Saved by the Bell.
What? Mark Paul Gosselaar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know his name.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're in it, and it's basically Groundhog's Day.
Okay.
Is a Christmas story. So she gets knocked out in the mall, and then she relives this Christmas Eve over and over and over again, and she's has this blind date with him
every time.
And so what's interesting though is there's all these side characters, so she's finding all these side stories and digging into all these different stories throughout it, and it's fun.
Okay. So was she knocked out or knocked up?
Knocked out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Bumped her head.
I was started to sound interesting there for me.
Hello.
And The Ref. Have any of you guys seen The Ref?
No.
Oh,
no.
So Dennis Leary and Kevin Spacey and I think Annette Bening and I think there's someone else in it. But it's about this bickering couple that hates each other, and they're just constantly fighting. And then Dennis Leary comes in, and he's a thief who's trying to get away, and so he's holed up at their house, holding them hostage. So they hate each other, and they're constantly fighting, and here's this thief who's stuck in the middle of it, and it's Dennis Leary, so you can imagine him going off on the couple. So it's just this big bomb just constantly exploding of all this fighting, and so it's pretty fun.
Cool.
And it's right on Christmas Eve. Serendipity and While You Were Sleeping are both good romantic comedies that happen.
They have holidays in them. Yeah, they go through the wintertime. Yeah.
And then the last one I was going to say, they just added it to the Netflix this year. The 1939 version of A Christmas Carol is really good. I actually saw that in the theater a few years ago. Not really wanting to, but it was a double feature, so I'm like, And what I was kind of concerned is like I've heard this so many times. If I go back and watch, this was the original feature film of A Christmas Carol. If I go back and watch the original feature film, it's going to feel so dry.
Yeah, you'll be jaded. And stuff,
jaded, yeah. And it didn't. And I really don't have a reason why. It's really a lot of the same beats. But
could you appreciate it just for the fact this was the original, like 1930s?
That might have been part of it too. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, I enjoyed it. So, I mean, I can certainly see somebody being like, yeah, it's kind of hashed out. But if you just want something a little bit different and a cool classic and something original, it's free on Netflix. So
okay,
why not?
Very cool.
And then the ones you mentioned. So
and the ones I mentioned
And top 3.
So I also. On Amazon, so I was looking for some older cartoon stuff that I'd want my son to watch.
Cool.
And Amazon has the original 1970s Frosty's Winter Wonderland.
Oh,
which
cool.
I couldn't find it. Netflix has a Frosty's, but it's a second.
It's
or third
a new
one.
one. Yeah, it's like a sequel. Yeah.
But the original one is on Amazon streaming, Frosty's Winter Wonderland, and so I totally want to watch it with him. I have fond memories of watching that on TV all the time in the 80s. So.
Yeah, by the way, if you listen to the Frosty the Snowman song, I just had this realization this past week. It starts off with him saying, "Happy birthday!" And then he like jumps into a song, and it's this old crusty, Frosty the Snowman, right? And what's interesting to me is like I'm listening to the song, and whenever it pops on the radio, my first thought is, happy birthday, Christmas song. Oh, it's going to be about Jesus. Oh, it's going to be nice. But then it's like this chain-smoking sailor guy on his leave who's like watching children play alone in the park all day long and following them wherever they go.
Not creepy at all.
And
Hello, children.
And he's just got that chain. Hey, these children are doing this in the park, and then they're going over here, and something magical is happening. I'm like, this song is getting way too creepy for me to watch as an adult. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I hope that doesn't ruin the movie for you, but that's what the song is.
There goes my childhood.
Sorry.
It's like Frosty the pedophile.
Yeah, Frosty the pedophile.
They should rename it.
Pedophile Wonderland.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's right. So who's the snowman?
All right, I'll make my last few quick. Also on Netflix, I was looking for TV shows that had Christmas themes, and I couldn't find it for Quantum Leap, but I know there was a Quantum Leap where he went back, and it was in season 3. I could have sworn where he went back, and it was like a Scrooge type of character that he went back into, a guy that was going to level like a home or whatever and build a skyscraper in it. I remember that, but I couldn't find it on Netflix, but it's out there somewhere. But MacGyver. Season 5, episode 11. Yeah, I found that out for you guys.
Nice.
It's an episode where MacGyver and the kids at the Challenge Center learn the true meaning of Christmas from a homeless woman. So, very
informative.
And somehow MacGyver builds a bomb to save the day.
To save the day. There has to be an explosion.
With like
Otherwise
duct tape and a
toothpick
or something.
and gum, yeah. But my favorite, because I've been going through all the X-Files, season 6, episode 6, is How the Ghost Stole Christmas. And in it, Scully and Mulder are staking out a house that's supposedly haunted by these ghosts. Well, they go into the house, and the ghosts are played by Lily Tomlin and Ed Asner. And,
oh, wow.
And they're ghosts that were married and angry at each other, and they're fighting and bickering. And so
Sounds
it's
hilarious.
great because it's very off, because it's not the usual story arcs or anything. It doesn't have anything to do with the regular aliens thing in X-Files. So it's cool because you can just watch that episode and you can get good stuff out of it. And Mulder and Scully learn stuff about their relationship, and they're talking to ghosts. And then at the end of the night, it's one of those things like the ghosts are all gone. It's like, stuff got figured out. The ghosts went away. They're happily ever after. And Mulder and Scully are kind of like, did that happen? Like, they don't really know and stuff. But the fact that it's Lily Tomlin and Ed Asner that play these angry ghosts at each other, have been married and died in the same house and stuff. Yeah,
that's
cool.
That's an episode to watch for sure.
Nice. All right. X-Files. Nice.
I think Hulu might win though when it comes to their holiday setup. So Netflix, you can go into the categories, choose holiday movies. You got them all there.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Hulu.com/holidays. They have an amazingly set up. You've got the TV episodes, you've got the different types of movies and everything, but they've got all the way down to, if you're a Doctor Who fan, they have all 12 Christmas specials lined up right on one page for you. There's the Doctor Who Christmas specials all lined up right there. They have your background settings. It's not just a fireplace anymore. There's 6 different themes for background noise on Christmas. You can have the fireplace. Cool. There's one that's Christmas lights. There's one that's Christmas villages. There's another one that's just Christmas scenery, like the snow and the outdoors. So, and it's all with playing Christmas carols. So Hulu, go to hulu.com/holidays, and they did it right, in my opinion. They don't have the breadth of movies that Netflix does, but with all the TV shows and the other extra things and concerts favorites and everything they have on there, I think Hulu is going to be where it's at on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I will say, having had a chance this year to spend a little bit more time with Hulu, their user experience is so much better than Netflix. Like, I remember when we first started doing this podcast, we were doing these exhaustive lists of what was Christmassy on Netflix because they weren't even providing any of that information for you, and you couldn't even search for it really on an app.
Keyword search for Christmas, and good luck, you'll get 20 movies that have Christmas in the title, but that's all you get. And stuff. Yeah.
And now they're doing a little bit better, but Hulu will pop up and they'll be kind of like, hey, this holiday's coming up. Here's a bunch of stuff to watch. And they just sort of make it feel like you're more of a community as opposed to just like arbitrarily going through this list that's been manufactured for you personally by a computer. So it just, I like stuff like that.
No, and I love it. And they have a whole section that's just on TV shows with episodes with Christmas themes.
Yeah,
what I want to watch. Which is so cool. All right, hey, there's the episode of Step by Step that was over the holidays, or whatever.
Is that really there?
So
Oh, cool.
You know what's not there? And I was really bummed was Boy Meets World. I was trying to find some good Boy Meets World, but you can't even stream that on Netflix or anything right now. So because I was looking for some Boy Meets World ones to really.
You mentioned the fireplace in the background. Have you seen the new Yule logs that are coming out this year? Like what was it, a couple weeks ago? Nick Offerman came out with it's just him sitting by a fireplace drinking scotch for 2 hours.
Yes. What?
And it's just it's literally like a live camera of him for like 2 hours just sipping scotch by a fireplace.
That is so great.
And they're like, at one point in the middle, this is about the most action you get, he refills his glass.
Why did we not do this with ourselves with the green screen or something? That would have been hilarious.
And the new one that just came out, it's a 2-hour loop of Darth Vader burning at the end of Jedi.
That's funny.
That's great. And that's your fireplace setting.
There's actually stuff, a friend of mine told me about this. Like, there's actually like videos on YouTube where they're just like 2 hours of like sounds from the captain's chair in Star Trek or sounds from the bridge. Just like 2 hours of it.
So it's like kind of like the ocean waves you could go to sleep to, but it's the Star Trek. That's fun. Okay.
So people are doing some interesting things now. You got 2 hours of a guy just drinking scotch, and now you have 2 hours of Star Trek sounds, and I'm sure you could get 2 hours of all kinds of things out there now.
So
it's kind of funny.
Yeah, since you guys both got to sidetrack for a minute, this will be my old man rant sidetrack here.
Okay.
Here so
all right.
It's stuff like that restores my faith in the internet.
Okay, I like where we're going.
Because there's so many times, like lately, I'm a total old man. Like I'll be surfing the internet, and I'm like, you remember when the internet was awesome?
Back in my
day,
the
internet was. You remember like logging on and finding out there's a live webcam in Flagstaff, and you can like see the snow, and it was amazing. Or you found out there's like user groups on Dukes of Hazzard fun facts or pictures from the show, and it was just amazing. And now, like, you find an interesting link and you click on it, and like number one, half the time it's not that. The other half, it's like it's like the article title, and then you don't know where to get to the actual article. There's just like the title
just
and sometimes the summary, and that's it. Or there's like a pop-up ad, and you can't find out how to close it. Or there's some sort of weird animation going on, like you're trying to read, but we're so OCD at this point, or ADD or whatever. Like we can't focus on the article because there's all these like teenage girls screaming for our attention around the peripheral with flashy banners and waving things and stuff like that.
You know how bad it is now? I was on IMDb looking up an old movie, and the entire outside of IMDb is all about that movie Sisters.
Oh, yeah.
On the website. It's just like, it's just all over. I'm like, stop it. I'm just trying to look up this old movie. Yeah.
I hate when I watch something on YouTube and they have these little things pop in. There's like 4 or 5 of them that pop
like
in.
Ads,
Ads, or you can go to this.
Or if it's like their YouTube channel, click here to subscribe to me or whatever, or go to this video or
and it's
whatever,
like 5 things pop up on you when you're trying to watch, and so you got to click the X, and it's like a distracting experience,
Yeah, and so it's like stuff like that, and I'm like, oh man, the internet sucks. But then comes along a video of Nick Offerman as a Yule log, sipping scotch, or there's the
so simple.
Yeah, or the what was it that it was I think it was a George Lucas versus Jim Henson parody video. But it's like all these, and bad lip reading and all those cool things that kind of come
Right.
out that like people just generate because they're excited about something and want to share it. The rest of the internet sucks, and I'm an old man. And let's return to the regularly scheduled broadcasting.
All right. Christmas Comes to Willow Creek. Did you ever watch that? The John Schneider, Tom Wopat? The only movie they ever did together, Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
I looked again this year. It's still not streaming anywhere. So I bought you the DVD for Christmas. It's coming on Amazon.
Are you serious?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Party at my place.
I looked everywhere. I was like, God, this has got to be streaming. I hope Jeff has seen this. And so, okay, I'm glad you did. Because I found it, like you could rent it on Amazon. I was like, I'm just going to get the DVD. So, yeah.
I have not seen that movie since I was little. The only thing I remember is there's like, he's tapping his foot, and he catches him tapping the foot. And he's like, you're tapping the foot to my country music. He's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah. See, it's such a good... Well, and if you're a Dukes of Hazzard fan, that is the only movie they did together after Dukes of Hazzard. So the only thing they did together after Dukes of Hazzard. Oh, so good. But anyways, all right, well, there you go.
Cool.
It'll be in your stocking this year.
No,
From Santa.
Yeah.
He knows if you've been naughty or nice.
That's
Jeff.
right. That's right.
And he gave me something anyways.
Yeah.
Sucker. I bribed my elf to tell him that I was a good boy.
Yeah.
Pickles
It's like-
the elf. What's the name of that?
Pickles.
Pickles.
Yeah, Pickles is his name.
I don't
Yeah,
need
we just called him Pickle.
Have you been naughty or nice, Jeff? Well, I've been naughty, but I got Steve for presents, so F you.
F you, buddy. All right. I've got second base. Do you have a film history?
Ooh.
I do.
You do? You seemed a little
I
hesitant.
do.
Like
No, I
there's
was
a
jumping
preface
into
to that.
my other list, but yeah, let's go.
Oh,
ahead
you
and
have
do
another list?
Yeah, the Christmas movies you're not watching list.
Oh, yeah.
You want to save that for later?
No.
or-
Give me the Christmas movies I'm not watching
Okay.
list. I forgot about that. My apologies for being an asshole.
Okay. No, you bought me a cool movie, so
Yeah.
you're not nasty.
So you can make up for it.
I can be a dick now.
Okay,
La,
so
la, 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 la. Oh, sorry. I'll shut up.
the ref is on there,
Okay.
which we already talked about. Just Friends, which Ryan Reynolds is just fun to watch in just about anything.
Is it in
And-
Sandra Bullock or no?
No, it's Ryan Reynolds. Oh, The Proposal is what you're thinking
that's
of.
what I
which
was
is
thinking,
great.
okay.
Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart and Anna Faris.
Okay.
And basically,
Yeah, the music director. Well, whatever. Yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yes,
and he was fat as a kid, and
Yeah.
now he's like this sexy, music
is a good
producer, and he's going with Anna Faris, who's just a psychotic musician who's really great.
It's
and,
just so great. And then is it his younger brother that tries hitting on her?
Oh
Anna
yeah,
Faris? Oh, so many
yeah.
great
He's like,
scenes.
oh, I got a poster of you in my bedroom.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
that's got my upvote. That's a good
Yeah,
one. Oh,
it's really kind of crazy. It just kind of floats under the surface, and it's just fun. Ernest Saves Christmas,
good one.
which
Yep.
is again under the surface a lot, but like I remember, like, I don't think Shireen had ever seen it, and we watched it like a year ago when it came on Netflix.
Had she ever seen any Ernest stuff?
Yeah, so
'Cause,
she was aware of
anybody-
Ernest.
Okay, the first time anybody sees an Ernest
But-
thing, they might look at me weird
Yeah,
when
but
I say
she-
this is the best thing
She
ever.
wasn't like really into it. It had been a long time and all that. And so like I remember it starts off and he's like singing "Oh Christmas Tree," but he only uses the words "Oh Christmas Tree," but he's singing the rest of the
Whole thing.
yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And Shireen's like laughing and like looking at the screen awkwardly, and I'm like, strap in, the whole ride's like this, babe. And anyways,
Well,
so
it's, like Ernest Scared Stupid, I was horrible. But Ernest Goes to Camp, I loved.
Jail was great.
Was
Camp
great.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all except the Scared Stupid, I wasn't a fan of. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
I digress. We're going on.
Bishop's Wife, which we talked about last time, it was a Best Picture Academy Award nomination. It's really, really good. I couldn't get into The Preacher's Wife as much as I love Denzel Washington, but which is sort of the modern remake. But The Bishop's Wife is like a classic that for some reason isn't being seen as much anymore. It's Gary Cooper, and God, it's a good movie. This next one I've never seen,
Okay.
but just listen to the synopsis for this. You
Okay,
guys
tell us
will-
the synopsis
you guys
before the
will wanna
title.
see it.
Okay. All right.
A radio host, Alan Bird, witnesses how an ice cream van is attacked and destroyed by an angry competitor. This leads him into a struggle between two Italian families, the Bernadese and the Rosise, over whose ice cream vans can sell where in Glasgow. It's a UK film.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
Wow.
And it's this really like under the radar UK film, and so it's really hard to find. And I have like all I can find is like VHS copies selling for like $50 on Amazon. So I'm hoping I can find a copy of that somewhere. If you have a copy, send it to me.
What's the title?
Comfort and Joy.
Comfort and Joy. Okay.
Yeah, but there's like newer like Hallmark type movies that are named
Called
Comfort and Joy now, so you gotta
You need
like,
the
look
UK
for it.
one about ice
Yeah,
cream trucks.
and that's, like,
battling
made in
out
the
over-
80s,
It's a
so you know-
it's a turf war.
Yeah.
with ice cream trucks. Is what
And
it
it's made in
sounds
the
like.
80s, so you're like, oh, this has got to be the great cheese. Anyways.
That's hilarious.
This next one, it used to be on Netflix. I'm not sure if it still is. It's called Rare Exports. It's a Norwegian film.
Was it the horror one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Yep.
this Norwegian one about this. They're in this remote part of northern Norway, and there's like the evil company, right? And they dig up like this old man who's like this old demonic type Santa Claus, right? But he's really kind of like he looks like Santa, but he's kind of like one of the smaller elves. And so they eventually like wake up the real evil Santa, and then like he awakens and he's got all of his little old men that look like little Santas. And there's this, so it's a cool movie, but I'm warning you, there's a scene, if you have a thing about not wanting to see old men's genitalia, there's a scene where they're all running away from Santa and all these elves, and they don't have anything on, and these old men are just chasing them down this snowy mountain, and they've got everything bouncing around, and
It's all.
there's
out
no like
there.
close-ups or anything, but I'm warning you. But it's still a cool movie.
And it is on Hulu.
It is on Hulu.
Yes,
okay,
I've got
cool.
the Can I Stream It app on my phone. I just looked it up. Yes, it's
Sweet.
on Hulu. Yep. So there you go. Stream on
Desk
Hulu.
Set, which we've talked about before, which is on Netflix now. It's another Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn movie. And it's the one we talked about where it was like these people were the Google of like the 1950s, and they're being replaced by computers.
Yeah.
And it is kind of one of those movies where there's kind of like a big Christmas scene at the end, and the rest of it isn't very Christmassy, but it's still a great movie to watch. This one's cool. Children of Men. Have you seen it?
No, I've not seen it.
So it's
No.
my wife's favorite movie. It's with Clive Owen and Julianne Moore and Michael Caine. And it takes place in the future where people aren't having children anymore. And it's been like 20 years, and it's this really kind of dystopian world. But there's this girl who is pregnant all of a sudden, and they don't know how she was able to get pregnant.
Right.
And nobody else was. And so even though it's not like a virgin birth, it's still like it doesn't draw any particular, hey, you guys should be thinking about this. And it's certainly not a Christian film. But I mean, there are so many similarities that you can really kind of pull out from like the Jesus being born story. And it's really under the surface kind of a thing. So it's just kind of a cool, different thing to watch if you're looking for something different.
Okay.
Christmas in Connecticut. Have you seen that one?
Nope.
So Christmas in Connecticut, it's another old like 1950s movie with Barbara Stanwyck, and it's got all the kind of screwball ticks that you're sort of used to from like the late 40s.
Okay.
Right. So basically, she's been writing for this magazine about how she's this really great, cook. How she can cook and clean and all this house stuff, but she's terrible at all this stuff. And she lives and she talks about how she lives in this New York, or she lives in this cottage in Connecticut, right? But she doesn't. She lives in an apartment in New York, and she gets all of her ideas from the chef across the street. And so her magazine editor demands to meet her at her cottage. So this rich guy who wants to marry her takes her to his cottage, and she agrees to marry him. And so they go to the cottage, and he's trying to get the marriage to go through, but she doesn't really want to marry him, and she falls in love, of course, with someone else while she's down there at this big Christmas thing. And so it's got all the typical screwball stuff, but it's fun, and I don't know how people aren't still like watching it, even though some of those old movies, especially the old kind of screwball movies, are still so fun to watch.
Yeah.
So anyways, that. And my number one movie, and I don't know how this isn't still around, but it's Mixed Nuts with Steve Martin.
Nope.
Oh, you haven't? So
That's why this is the list of movies you aren't watching.
Yeah.
Because
No.
obviously I'm not watching these, Jeff.
yeah, no, Mixed Nuts,
Nuts.
is so good, and it's about this suicide hotline, depression hotline.
Okay.
But they're really bad at it, and so Steve Martin's trying to keep this thing together, and it's not, and it's just about all these ridiculous characters. Let me see if I can look it up here. See who was in it.
Well, and it looks like while it's not available for streaming, Google Play and iTunes both have it for rent for $2.99.
Okay. So
Steve Martin,
yes.
Rita Wilson,
Steve Martin, Madeline Kahn, Robert Klein, Anthony I forget him, Juliette Lewis, Rob Reiner, Adam Sandler, Liev Schreiber plays a crossdresser, Rita Wilson, Gary Shandling, and Madeline Kahn. Gosh, she's just amazing in like everything she does. She's hysterically funny in this. And it's done by the same lady who did like the Father of the Bride stuff.
Oh, okay.
And it's just about all these insanely ridiculous characters just coming together in this huge clash, and it's got all of this. Like really, some of the humor is like really really dark, especially like the suicide hotline stuff. They're having bad reception, so she puts a guy on hold and he ends up killing himself.
Oh gosh!
But it's hysterical. Like if you have that sense of humor, but.
Right.
Anyways,
right up our alley.
So that might be another one I have to have a party for, because I don't know if the darkness scares people off or, what the deal is, but yeah, it's really good.
That's a good one. Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. Some fun, different things to watch.
You have fun. You have
not.
TV episode.
Yeah.
You have holiday. You just have somebody sipping alcohol in a fireplace for you.
Yeah, so you got some old movies, you got a horror, you've got a really bizarre UK film that's hard to find, you got some comedies
that you'll never watch because you can't find it.
Yeah, some old films. Yeah,
so that's awesome.
A good mix of different things to watch.
All right, beautiful. Well, I like it. All right, was that your list?
Yeah,
we're
go
good.
For it. Yeah,
all right.
I want to hear second base for a dollar.
All right.
You got something?
Here's how I got to second base this weekend.
All right.
This is a little segment we like to call How to Get to Second Base for a Dollar. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's still my favorite part of that. Second base for a dollar. Nothing really good that was like holiday themed.
Did you do Love Actually again?
So I did Love Actually. No, I'm just kidding. No. I really, really wanted to. That's such a great movie. Such a great movie. That will always get you to second base with me. Yeah. So, wait, what?
Wait, what?
What? Wait a second.
With you?
Yeah, with me.
Well,
But
it's going to be a long night for you if you watch it at a movie theater.
I know.
I have not seen this movie, and it was out in Redbox. Trainwreck with Amy Schumer and Bill Hader. Okay, so I was like, all right, this looks like a romantic comedy. This should be a pretty good thing. Yeah. Hilarious.
Yeah?
Hilarious. So this movie, it didn't honestly have me for the first like 10 or 15 minutes, but the very first scene is the dad, and I forget who plays it, talking to his two daughters about how mommy and him are getting a divorce. And he's trying to relate it to his daughters. So he talks to them, and it's a monologue about how, it's as if you like your doll, right, honey? Well, what if you wanted to play with other dolls? Like the doll at the restaurant that you always eat at, or maybe the doll that works with you or something. But no, you can only play with your one doll for the rest of your life. Like, it's this whole monologue and stuff. I was dying laughing. That alone, I was hooked pretty much at that point.
Yeah.
But then it took a little bit to get into it, but the first hour of the movie is hilarious. Amy Schumer's character in the beginning, she's the type of, pretty much, you go on a date with her, you're having sex with her that night, because her father taught her monogamy was not the way, know, and so she's never been in a steady relationship ever. That's how it is. But she's in a steady relationship with John Cena, is the character that plays it. But you end up finding out that he's gay, and he was hilarious in his part, and I don't know who wrote his lines, but it was great. And then Bill Hader is a doctor who works as a surgeon on pro athletes and everything. So she ends up having to do an article on him, and she hates sports, so she doesn't like any of it. But Bill Hader's character is very good friends with LeBron James.
Who's in it?
Who's in it? Oh, yeah. LeBron James is in it. And they're buddy-buddy in this whole thing. And it's so great because when you first meet LeBron James, he's coming back to Bill Hader's office looking for his sunglasses. And then Bill's character's like, did you drive 40 minutes just for those sunglasses? And and LeBron James is like, yeah, I'm not paying sunglasses at $30 for another pair of sunglasses. And just little things like that are hilarious. But then I had to look it up because to see who wrote it, and I found out Chris Rock was on set a lot for this thing, and they did a lot of improvisation between scenes for it, even though it was all scripted.
Yeah.
And I guess Chris Rock did a lot of the lines for LeBron James, and you
Oh,
could totally
really?
tell because some of his lines are hilarious, and the delivery on it was great. And he gets, and Bill's character makes fun of him because he's got all this money, but there's a time at dinner where LeBron's trying to split up the check evenly, and Bill's like, you can pay for it. You have the money. And he's like, no, I'm not going to become like another MC Hammer here. I got to keep track of this. And then Bill Hader's character's like, fine, I'll pay for it. He's like, no, we'll split it. So Bill puts his card in, and then LeBron's like, oh, man. And he didn't even have his wallet with him. And so a lot of great stuff. The overall story, though, Amy obviously falls in love with Bill, and it's the same kind of love story thing. Something happens, they get in a fight, they break up, they get back, all that stuff. But it really is a lot of those side characters that are in it that I just were hilarious, which makes a good movie for me. But they're hilarious too. Their relationship, and it's just so awkward. And a couple of the scenes when Amy is on her first date and then she ends up having sex with a guy, some of the guys are just way weird. And so it was really funny though. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I liked it all the way through. And it's definitely more comedy than romance, but it does have the romantic comedy element to it. So. But yeah, it was good all
They're
around.
actually pushing that film for best writing. I think they've released the screenplay online.
Oh, okay.
And I know it's up for some Golden Globes that were just announced. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it would. It's a lot of sex humor. And I wish I could remember who played Amy Schumer's dad in this thing, because when he's in the old folks' home, he's just an ass too, and he's racist, and it's just he's just this old cranky old man, and it's great. Yeah, there's a lot of great lines throughout the whole thing.
Cool.
So,
well, I got a lot of movies to catch up on my Christmas break here, so I'll add that to my queue.
Beautiful. So that is what I had for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Sweet.
Trainwreck.
Very good.
All right. Would you like a little bit of film history?
Yes, please.
Yes.
It's time for This Week in Film History.
All right. Let's do some. So, I have something else I wanted to talk about, but I just wanted to cover this one real quick because I thought it was interesting. Speaking of movies that old Christmas movies or Christmas movies. So when I was doing the research for that, I found this one Christmas movie that you can watch on YouTube. Actually, officially Paramount has it.
Okay.
So you can actually watch this for free on YouTube, and it's not interrupted with commercials or anything. And I'm halfway through it right now, and I haven't gotten anything Christmassy, so I'm assuming the Christmas stuff is at the end. But it's called the Miracle.
Horribly tricked.
Yeah, or I'm horribly tricked, one of the two. But it's called The Miracle of Morgan's Creek, and I'm just going to read you and it was made in 1944.
Okay.
Okay, so keep that in mind. So I'm gonna read you the tagline for this, or the log line for this, and let me know if this sounds like a 1944 film to you. Okay.
Okay.
After an all-night send-off party for the troops, a small-town girl wakes up to find herself married and pregnant, but with no memory of the husband's identity.
What? No, that does not sound like a 1940s.
Well, the first part of it did.
Yeah.
The
But
troops
then once
and
you
the
get-
party,
yeah.
you're thinking
All
like World War
night,
II
yeah,
type
and
thing.
then she wakes up pregnant.
But that
and
part
married.
there, yeah.
I'd even let the married go, but I married and pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's
yeah.
really interesting is when you watch the film, they skirt around the pregnancy so much that it's good to know that going in, because you're like, wait, what are they talking about?
Okay.
Like, you don't really you don't really appreciate the sense that she's pregnant because the censors made them cut down so much on it and dance around it so much.
Gotcha.
But it's really interesting.
Whoa.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
She wakes up to find she was roofied and raped.
Yeah.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
Yeah. So I'm
Grandpa.
pretty interesting to figure out. And what's interesting too is if you read about it, the writer director who's Preston Sturges, he's done some pretty cool stuff. And if you read about the making of this, they were like taking dolly shots to the next level and rehearsing all day and stuff like that. It was pretty nuts. But what's interesting is he wasn't done with the script and he was directing it, and so. He knew it was called The Miracle of Morgan's Creek, but he didn't know what the miracle was when he was in the middle of filming it.
Or what Morgan's Creek was, right?
Or what Morgan's Creek, yeah.
Some movie.
And what's really funny is if you watch it, like the beginning scene is this news reporter who's like calling his agency. He's like, "You got to get down here! Like, send all of your men. The biggest thing is happening down here." And they're like, "What?" And they're like bringing everybody in to like hear the story and to think about that opening scene and having known he wrote that without knowing what the
What
ending
the
was,
actual ending was
is kind of funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about is the song "Baby It's Cold Outside."
Okay.
Do you remember growing up with this song on the Christmas song list?
I don't remember it as a child.
I don't either.
necessarily.
Okay,
I remember it in my teen years, but not necessarily like young
Yeah, right.
kid.
because the only time I really remember it being introduced to my holiday listening was Elf.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the first time I really remember hearing that song.
Okay.
And so I did some research on it, and the Dean Martin one is played a lot, but it's actually from a movie. It was actually made for a movie, and the movie was called
Morgan's Creek, something like that?
Miracle on Morgan's Creek. It's called Neptune's Daughter. It was a film in the '60s. It actually takes place in Florida, and so it's out in the sunny stuff, so it's out. So
Wow.
it's funny. You always do the song now with it's snowy and it's Christmassy
Right.
song.
Right.
But what's funny is when they did the song, they're in sunny Florida. And so, like, he's saying, when he's saying, you should look at how cold it is, he's like closing the drapes when he says that.
In the original movie?
Right.
Okay.
And what's kind of cool is, so it's really playful. And again, kind of talking about Miracle on Morgan's Creek, it's really kind of got that, really the censorships really kind of let that go. And originally they wanted to play the song, I Want to Take You on a Slow Boat to China. But they thought it was too dirty, but somehow they thought Baby It's Cold Outside is just fine.
Yeah.
Like convincing somebody that they're not going to leave until they have sex with you, like somehow that's okay.
Bill Murray sings that song to the waitress in a Very Merry Christmas.
Oh,
by the
yeah?
way. And Bill Murray is trying to get the waitress to,
Nice.
Yeah, so, okay.
And what's cool, so Frank Loesser did the song. He won an Oscar for it, actually, Best Original Song. But what's interesting is there was a big controversy over it because technically it wasn't an original song. Because he wrote it for whenever he had dinner parties or went over to his dinner parties, he wrote it, and him and his wife would perform it at like these dinner parties. And when they need this song, nearing the 0 hour, he's like, "Oh, I've got this song," so he wrote it and put it in. And what's cool is it stars Esther Williams and Red Skelton.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
so Esther Williams is this fashion lady who's there in Florida. They're all at this big hotel, and so what's kind of cool is traditionally you hear it with like Dean Martin or some guy singing it to a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then lately, like the Lady Gaga special, it's like a woman singing it to a guy. Like that's kind of feels like the new twist lately, right?
Yeah.
But back then when they did it, they did both. So it's kind of like Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis. So you have like the two relationships going on at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in one, the man is the pursuer, and in the more comedic one, the woman is pursuing the comic lead, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So in the first one, he sings it to her, and it's it's the same thing. It's very he's trying to be sexy and whatever. But then you do like the silly one, and Red Skelton just nails it. Him and the forget the girl who's performing with him. So she's singing it to him, and it's just hysterical, and he's in full over the top that type of mode. And you can watch it on YouTube. It's really, really great.
What's the name of it again?
So if you just look up "Baby It's Cold Outside," you should see it's one of the first things that come outside. But the movie's called Neptune's Daughter.
Neptune's Daughter.
Neptune's Daughter.
Interesting.
So yeah, check that out. And if you need to put in Red Skelton or whatever, Esther Williams, you can do that. But another kind of cool little side note about that movie is, to do the music, they had for whatever reason they had a custom made piano that was on set that they would play for the performers, right? So halfway through production, the piano disappeared one night.
Oh.
And so they're like, well, what are we going to do? And they were talking about halting production because they needed, for whatever reason, this custom piano. And so Red Skelton was like, I actually have like something very similar to that at my home. Why don't you come check it out? So they went and checked it out, and they're like, yeah, this would actually work perfectly. This is like exactly the same thing. And so they're like, can we rent this from you from like, $500 a day? And he's like, well, yeah, you can rent it. And he's like, but I want $1,000 or $5,000 or something that was like 5 times what they had asked for. and they were upset, but they eventually agreed. We'll come to find out Red Skelton stole the piano.
I was going to say, is that...
Took it home and then rent it back to them for 5
my
times what
gosh.
they wanted. And, oh my gosh.
That is the best.
That is
what
awesome.
a great move. And it was funny if it was anybody else, you're like, oh, that's kind of a dick move.
Yeah, but Red Skeleton.
But if it's Red Skelton, I was like, oh.
You know, he thought about that. He's like, all right, how can I pull this off?
Yeah, no kidding.
That's so great. That is so great.
That is.
Yeah, and I will say, if you like Baby It's Cold Outside, the best version is the Sammy Davis Jr. version. Like nobody plays that version, but it's totally like the whole song is filled with his personality, and he's just like over the top, like desperately trying to woo this woman. And every other version is like this. Everyone desperately trying to be as classy as they can possibly, stick their chest out.
Yeah.
But his is so fun and just full of personality and sort of that just ridiculous desperation of him trying to do everything he can possibly think of in the zaniest way. So watch the original version, Neptune's Daughter, and listen to Sammy Davis Jr.
Okay.
Really good.
All right.
So
Very cool.
That's your film history. Boys.
That's awesome,
I'm
dude.
sold. Yeah,
I'm
good
sold.
job.
I took notes, Jeff. You'd be proud.
Yeah! Cool. All right, cool.
That's awesome. But and how convenient, yeah, because I just heard that Bill Murray was singing it to a waitress. Yeah,
That's
it's all
funny.
over. But you're right. I'm sure I probably first heard it like in a mall or something as a teenager playing during the holidays.
Right.
It was not anything I heard as a younger child, but been out since the 60s apparently. All right.
Yeah.
It's because my, family I grew up in, it was a lot of Oh Holy Night and everything like that around the household.
Yeah, maybe that was it for me too, right?
That's what it was. So yeah.
It wasn't until I was in my 20s and I could watch dirty movies like Elf.
That's right.
Maybe
Watch
that was
the
it
Elf
for me.
and
Yeah.
Simpsons
Yeah,
and not
that's
have to worry
right.
about my mom walking in.
That's right.
That's what I worried about in the 90s.
There's a shower scene. You can't watch that movie.
Oh man. Anyways, I got some speed round.
Yep.
I'm sorry,
Ooh.
I did 10 of them again, even though that's not our rule. Apparently,
Okay.
I learned last
All right.
episode.
I don't know how many I have.
All right, so
So we could be here all night, pretty much.
all right, Jeff. Well, I think we're
Keep
like
your calendar open. Is all I'm
50
saying.
something minutes into
Yeah, we're
this.
at 57.
57 minutes. All right, so let's get through this speed round.
All right, let's do it.
Even the intro's quick. That's really good for us.
Yeah.
So, okay, perfect. All right.
All right. You gonna go first?
All right, I'll go first. 10 of them. Half of these are Star Wars themed for you.
Oh,
But don't worry, they're
appropriate.
Star Wars and Christmas themed.
Oh,
Would
jeez.
you rather get a Christmas present from Han Solo or Yoda?
Yoda.
Receive a lightsaber or a blaster for a present?
Lightsaber.
Have to watch episodes 1, 2, and 3 or walk through a room of glass?
Walk through a room of glass.
Go caroling with an Ewok or a Wookiee?
Ewok.
Kiss Princess Leia or Queen Amidala?
Oh, Princess Leia.
All right. Good job on all those. Give or receive a present?
Give.
Would you like to build a snowman or sled down a hill?
Sled down a hill.
Do you like bunny rabbits or snow bunnies?
Snow bunnies.
Would you like to snowboard or ski?
Snowboard.
New Year's Eve, up till midnight like it's 1999, or shut the damn kids up, I'm sleeping?
Up till 99.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Boom. Speed round.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
That was quick. That was quick. I
All
like
right.
that.
All
Yeah,
right.
that
There we
was
go.
good.
There we go. All right,
All right,
Jeff.
well,
No
continuing in the
pressure
speed
there. I'm
round,
just
think
trying to
that-
win the podcast this time.
Just remember, Jeff said he has no idea how many he has. So
And honestly, I don't even remember what these questions are. So good luck to you, Steve.
All right, great. Hey, Valentine's Day themed.
these are just random things he found on the internet.
Yeah, right.
Let's start off with a question about the 90s. No. All right. Yeah,
your
these are
thesis
Christmas
on.
theme. I did learn a little. All right, here we go.
All right.
Presents. Do you open them on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning?
Both.
Best Christmas movies are for kids or for adults?
For adults,
After Christmas dinner, Big Crap That Day or it's the next day?
big crap that day.
Best Christmas food not eaten during the Christmas dinner?
Beef jerky.
Oh.
I get that in my stocking. So.
Which is a better Christmas cookie, Snickerdoodles or chocolate chip?
Chocolate chip.
Are you pro or con gingerbread men?
Con.
Have you ever made a gingerbread house or man?
No.
Oh.
Con.
And yet you're against them. Love to get together with the family or you leave me alone will be my Christmas present?
I love being together with family, yeah.
Okay.
I do.
You're only saying that because family's listening. Christmas tree should be thematically and beautifully decorated, or it should have every ornament since the crappy ones I made as a child.
Every ornament, baby.
Yes. Would you eat coleslaw with hot sauce at Christmas dinner?
Yes, I would.
Would you eat rice and beans for Christmas dinner?
Yes, I would. What am I doing in the bayou for Christmas?
Or Belize?
Or Belize.
Would you, let's see. Oh, here we go. Eggnog. Better with rum? Better alone? Or what the hell? Get that thing away from me.
What the hell is this?
All right. True or false? 12 Days of Christmas is the best choice for holiday music to play while on hold at the suicide prevention hotline.
False.
That's all I got.
All right.
Wow.
Woo, woohoo. Speed round it. All right. Beautiful.
Good job.
Well
Good.
done all around.
Good
well,
job.
boys, I've liked our trilogy of podcasts. This
Yeah,
is a great
that was
Yeah.
idea.
fun.
So we'll have
was.
to come up with something else,
Yeah.
bring back the band again.
Yeah, absolutely. That was fun. And absolutely get together and share some of our work this next year. I think there might be some... I mean, I'll tell you a couple things we're thinking about, but, I mean, considering the last podcast ended and we didn't finish any of that crap, who knows?
Who
Don't
knows?
hold your breath.
Just pay attention on Facebook
But-
or Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah, because we
We'll
got a
post
couple
something
audio
about it.
dramas we've got tooling around that might happen and some other stuff, so...
Yeah. But in the meantime, we really appreciate you listening to our Halloween, our Thanksgiving, and now our Merry Christmas themed episodes.
Yeah, so Merry Christmas. Have a good one. Enjoy your New Year and your parties and families, if that's what you do.
If
Or
that's your thing.
Yeah.
Or your
Eggnog.
eggnog.
your eggnog, your gingerbread people, or whatever.
Your coleslaw and hot sauce.
Yeah.
However you
Oh.
like to throw up a party.
And most importantly, lying to your kids.
That's
Yes.
right. You bunch of
We
liars.
started with that. We'll end with that.
I love the bitter note this is ending on for the holidays.
That's right.
All right, thanks. Have a good one, everybody. Woo.
The 12A podcast is produced by 12A Productions and distributed by the 4-Eyed Radio Network. To learn more about the podcast or to see what other projects the 12A team is working on, check out 12aproductions.com.
Baby, It's Cold Outside is going to be stuck in my head for a long time now. Thanks, Jeff.
This has been another proud production of the 4-Eyed Radio Network. You want to see more shows, go check out www.4eyeradio.com, you winkers.